All right, so I just got done watching Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk, aka Saul Goodman, aka Slippin' Jimmy McGill. And if you're a fan of Bob Odenkirk from the series Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad, um, then you're probably like me, where you've never really pictured him in a hardcore action role. Um, but it's something you never knew you wanted. Because, like I said, if you're anything like me, you saw that trailer when it came out and you were like, what? It's Slippin' Jimmy and he's kicking ass. Um, I was so excited when I saw the trailer. I was like, this is like the coolest thing. And the idea isn't new. This idea of a middle-aged husband slash dad who was like, you know, maybe an ex-assassin, but put that life behind him to start a new one with a family, and his past comes back to haunt him. This is not new. You saw it in A History of Violence with Viggo Mortensen, which was a much more serious take on this. Um, I would highly recommend watching that movie. But I'm not taking anything away from this film. This was a good ass time. It's like the ultimate man-tasy, right? What middle-aged man who's like just a regular Joe with a family doesn't have this kind of like secret wish that he was this like ex international assassin or man of mystery, and then threw all that away to have a life with wife and kids, and I don't know. It's I feel like it's a common theme, and that's why they make films like this. But it was a really good time to watch. Like it's not super serious. Like it's kind of every once in a while it's kind of slapstick. There's like uh you know I don't know. It's silly. It's silly at times and wildly unrealistic. Like the scene where there's it just so happens that he went and like kind of flipped the switch again and became this badass, and then right after that a bunch of Russians, like, I don't know, take over a bus. It was very strange. But if you're a fan of action films, and I am, that kind of stuff doesn't bother you. Like, you don't need to be able to explain it. The silliness is fine because you get some amazing action, and this movie provides some amazing action. If you are into guns blazing, ass kicking, hand to hand, like melee combat, um, knives and rifles and grenades, and if you're into that sort of thing, you're going to enjoy this movie. It's like I said, specifically aimed, I think, at middle-aged men, but I think young people will enjoy it too. But this is, not to be cliche, not to be sexist or anything, but this is a man's movie. Like, my wife would have zero interest in this film. Zero. She'd be like, "This is dumb. Turn this off." So these kinds of films I watch by myself. But it was such a good time, and just to see Bob Odenkirk, the guy that we have seen as Saul Goodman for what, like 10 years now, more than that. Um, just to see him in this like badass action role where he's like this kick-ass dude. Like, it's so much fun. Like, I love his character on Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. I love that series, both series. And it's just really cool to see him in something different now. And I know he's been in lots of things, but I would like to see him get more big and serious roles. Not that this was a big and serious role, um, but I do feel like people are going to enjoy this. I really do. I think it's enjoyable, man. It's a good time. Like, I wouldn't call it a popcorn flick, because it's not the most family friendly type thing, but it's a hardcore action flick, and if you're a fan of like the old school '80s and '90s hardcore action movies, you're going to enjoy Nobody. Um, like I said, I basically told you the story if you haven't already watched it, um, but it's this guy, and you see him, and he has this mundane life where he lives every single day. It's like Groundhog Day, right? It's the same day in and day out, and he's kind of, you can see him. He's kind of dying inside a little bit, and there's something missing, and it's because he used to be man of action. Like, he used to be this guy who the government would send in to clean up messes that they couldn't be involved with, and they would send this guy in, and he would just take everyone out. I think the most brutal scene is the one on the bus, like I said, with the Russians. That was crazy. Not only because, um, you know, how much ass he kicks, but because of the fact that he gets his ass kicked too. Like, it's kind of his first foray back into this world that he hasn't been in like a decade or more, and it's it's I love that. I love that when even though it's far fetched and silly, they make it somewhat realistic in the fact that, yeah, the guy's gonna get his ass kicked at the same time. You're not gonna take on like six guys and come out unscathed, right? And this movie highlights that big time. Like, if you've ever seen the movie Kick Ass, it reminds me of that. Like, in Kick Ass, he goes to become this vigilante kind of hero, and he just gets his ass kicked. And basically, his superpower is that it doesn't hurt. Like, he doesn't feel pain, but he does get his ass kicked. Like, in this movie, he definitely does feel pain, and yeah, he does not come out unscathed every time he comes out. Now, it's a little silly because some of these wounds would definitely have put him in the hospital, whereas in this film, like, his wife kind of patches him up, and she's obviously aware of his past life. Unlike A History of Violence, which I am bringing up again because it's such an awesome movie. If you haven't seen A History of Violence, it's based on a comic book, believe it or not. You wouldn't think so. If you watch the film, you'd be like, this is based on a comic book? It's not about superheroes at all. It's very boots on the ground. Like, okay, this video is not supposed to be about, it's not supposed to be about A History of Violence. But I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed Nobody. Like I said, it's not super deep. The deeper movies, the ones with more meaning and stuff to explain, I'll usually do like a voiceover where I'll have a script of my thoughts written out on the film. This one's not like that. This one's just a good goddamn time. So if you like action flicks, if you like Bob Odenkirk, you're gonna like this film. I would almost guarantee it. So, and if you've already seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So that's it, guys. That's my review of I don't know. I can't give it a number or letter score. You know what I mean? It's just a good time. But if you enjoy videos like this, it's not all I do, but I do review a lot of movies on the channel. I review books, I review TV series, and I do other videos too. I talk about current events and politics every once in a while. But if you're into that sort of thing, please subscribe for more. I try to do it daily. That's why I call it Daily BS. I'm not perfect, but I give it a damn good try. And like I said, if you enjoy that sort of thing, please subscribe to the channel, or you can favorite or follow the podcast by the same name, Daily BS, wherever you find your podcast. And if you do decide to subscribe, if you decide to stick around and subscribe to the channel or favorite or follow the podcast, then I will talk to you again tomorrow.